Would you like to be somebody who understands how and which rituals can trigger processes within your unconscious mind to occur? Then listen to the end of this video where I explain how we need to use objects, elements, and processes that have been existing for thousands and thousands of years, things that our unconscious mind recognizes essentially, and use those objects in a ritual to trigger something within our unconsciousness and to trigger, for example, archetypes. So before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. Okay, so our unconsciousness, for example, the collective unconscious, is archaic. It's ancient. And it's essentially the experience of our ancient ancestors, our family tree. It is sort of an accumulation of our human history, and it's been bundled into our unconsciousness. For example, humans have always been subjected to very similar circumstances like war, reproduction, communities, and these sort of repetitive behavioral patterns have been integrated into your DNA, into your unconsciousness, and they try to try to guide your behavior to act out these behavioral patterns that are successful for survival, for example. Now, the problem is, in modern day society, we are fairly dissociated from our unconscious mind. We first of all don't really listen to it because, it communicates to us through things like dreams, random thoughts, emotions, feelings. These are sort of symptoms of something going on within our unconscious mind, or it's our unconscious mind trying to communicate to us. We don't really listen to that. And also, we have lost touch to the traditions, cultures, and stories which try to trigger our unconscious mind to guide our behavior. For example, hero stories are an archetype, and when we see these stories or hear about them, they try to spark a kind of response within us that sort of makes us emulate the hero narrative in real life ourselves. And we don't really listen to these things, or we don't take them really that seriously. And yeah, I would say our consciousness is fairly dissociated from the unconscious mind. We're not really listening to how we feel, what our moods are like. Now, the unconscious mind essentially isn't getting what it wants. Now, that's a problem because it'll communicate to us. It's essentially like an unnegotiable force, and it calls the shots like to a large degree, and it will communicate that to us. It's disapproval of our, let's say, our sort of naughty behavior through symptoms of phobias, anxiety, depression, bad moods, let's say. Now, here's a potential solution to how to try to, let's say, communicate with our unconscious mind and listen to it and influence it, let's say. We need to emulate ancient rituals for the unconscious mind, which our unconscious mind recognizes and remembers. Because these rituals can spark something within us. And the ritual obviously would need to entail objects, processes that have existed for vast expanses of time along human existence, that the humans have known and been in contact with for a very long time. And because, I'm not very knowledgeable on rituals. I doubt you are, perhaps, but if they're useful, let's try and figure out how to build these rituals. And of course, you can go and read them, but I'm just trying to take my own approach to what would a ritual entail. Okay, so in order for an object to be relevant to a ritual, to use in a ritual, it would have had to existed for a long enough time for the DNA to recognize it and understand what it entails. For example, the iPhone won't cut it. The iPhone has only existed for less than 10, 15 years maybe, roughly. That's not enough time for the unconscious mind to integrate what that really is. These objects would only be recognized by the unconscious mind if they would have existed for thousands and thousands of years, because evolution integrating the environment, adapting to the environment, to these objects is a conservative process. It takes time. Okay, so the question is, what objects, what things have existed for a very long time that our unconscious mind recognizes and understands? Very basic, I think. Here are a few that I came up with. Water. Fire. Fire has existed for, I think, I googled it just now, from between estimated 1.7 to 2 million years. That's a very long time. Earth. Darkness. Light, like the sunlight. Animals. Humans. Now, for example, an essential process in life is death and rebirth. Release and holding on or taking hold of something. Now, this is quite relevant for personality growth, because in order to grow, you must let go of what is old and make room for the new. So letting go is actually a prerequisite for growth. And obviously death and letting go is quite a difficult, challenging requirement. So the trigger, the switch to let go, lies in the foundation of the unconscious mind. It's rooted really deeply in an unconscious level, typically, I would say. Hence, we need to address our unconsciousness if we want to let go of things. So, for example, in regards to fire, this is something that came up to my mind, or I talked about it with a friend recently. You can write on a paper something you want to let go of, and something you don't want to let's say, oppress you anymore in life. You write it on a piece of paper, and then you light it with a flame and watch the flame incinerate the paper. And I think that would facilitate your unconscious mind to let go. Fire is like a primordial element. If you have a bonfire at night with your friends or your family, and you're sitting around it and you just look into the fire, it's mesmerizing. It's like it's alive. It's this powerful force. It's anger, but also warmth and protection. It's a multifaceted, versatile force, really powerful. And if you observe that burning something, it's like you're like letting go. You're letting something die, kind of. I think that will trigger a response within your unconscious mind. Or you could use water to nurture a plant. For example, you buy a plant and you give it a name. Let's say you give it a name that has something to do, or that you associate with something you want to grow within you. Let's say you want to build your confidence or your self-esteem. Then you give it a name that something has to do with your self-esteem. Like, I don't know, something that you like to be called when you were younger that made you feel, good about yourself. And you call it that, and you nurture it. You talk to the plant, you water it, you give it energy, and you watch that grow. And I think that will be assimilated by your unconscious mind, that occurrence of this plant growing, and that nurturing the plant will facilitate this personal growth, or this confidence growth within you, and not just on a sort of shallow level, but on a very deep unconscious level. So what we're doing with these rituals, we are externalizing a limb of our unconscious mind into our conscious area of control, where you have the power of choice and authority. And you sort of trigger then an internal process. And I think life is a constant discussion between the outside and the inside world, your external environment and your internal unconscious mind, your psyche, essentially. Yeah. So in conclusion, rituals can trigger processes to occur in the unconscious mind, which is very useful because, the unconscious mind is a place that you are unaware of, hence, that's the definition. So it's quite difficult to understand, and that's a problem because it guides a vast bandwidth of our motivations, endeavors in life. And if we're completely unconscious of it, then we'll always be slaves to it. But if we can try to collaborate with it and cooperate, with the unconscious mind, and have some sort of conscious control through, for example, the means of rituals, that's a big advantage to us, because we can finally take, let's say, a bit more, let's say, free will into our conscious hands, and that's very useful. And you need to use primordial elements that our unconscious mind resonates with, like fire, water, darkness, humans, animals, nature. The forest, for example, I think is a very, very, very archaic scenery. Yeah. So we can use those to trigger internal responses. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a comment in the comment section and tell me what other rituals you think can be useful for triggering processes to occur in our unconscious mind. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.